Alrighty, ladies and gents, it's your boy D-Mac. I would like to welcome you all to the first ever weekly sports show hosted by yours truly. I will be discussing breaking news, game recaps, and everything in between. With the show still in its infancy, I will only be covering nationally televised games I am able to watch at the time. With all that said, let's get this show on the road. Week 1 was wrapped up in the NFL recently, and I am pretty excited to have pro football back. With this year being the NFL's 100th season, let's see how the season turns out. Our first game of the week was Thursday between NFC North rivals the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. Normally, the defending Super Bowl champions kick things off, but this year the NFL decided to go with its most storied rivalry. This game had a very slow start, and I do mean very slow. Defenses were trading sacks, and offenses were trading punts. There was no touchdown scored until the second quarter, and you know a game is pretty slow when Jimmy Graham Cracker Knee scores the only touchdown of the day. David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears showed them that he has what it takes to be a leading back, and he only got him in the third round. I commend the Green Bay Packers for finally giving Aaron Rodgers a solid defense that can actually stop somebody, but it's kind of hard to judge if their defense is actually legit or if Mitchell Trubisky is just hot garbage. If you are the Chicago Bears, you must take a really long look at your team and see if Mitchell Trubisky is actually the guy who can carry you over the next hump. So Green Bay pulled this one out. The first noon game of the day on Fox was the Eagles versus the Redskins. To describe this game, I'm going to use it to describe a meme. It goes, they really had us in the first half, I ain't going to lie. Because first half, the Redskins were leading the Eagles 20-0, and a lot of people probably would have given them the win. But they pulled a Redskins move and just let the Eagles come back. Carson Wentz looked really good. He was moving around in a pocket, extending plays, creating opportunities for his receivers down the field. And speaking of his receivers, the prodigal son, Deshaun Jackson, finally returned to Philly. He had over 150 yards and 2 tuds. The Eagles look really dangerous this year. With a loaded D-line, a stellar receiving core, and a healthy Carson Wentz, they'll be a force to reckon with in the NFC East. And on the Redskins side, you gotta hope that this just isn't a harbor for things to come later on this year. You spent your first round pick on Dwayne Haskins, yet you sit him behind Case Keenum, which I can respect that because you got a lot of money invested in Keenum. You might want to ride that contract out and just let Haskins sit behind him and learn. But also, is your coach going to be able to stay on contract if you're going to rebuild this year? Because he may be on a hot seat. We'll see further on down the year. The other noon game was an AFC matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game, we see the reigning league MVP and Pat Mahomes duel with Jacksonville's newly paid toy, Nick Foles. Will he return Jacksonville to their Saxonville days, or has that opportunity already closed for this team? Well, we will never find out because Nick Foles sadly broke his collarbone early in the game. At least he went out with a stat. Now Jacksonville's hopes are in the hands of... Hold on, I forgot this dude's name. His name is Gardner Minshew. He's a rookie out of the 6th round. Good luck, Jacksonville fans. I'm really sorry that happened. A big injury that happened, if you want to keep up with this. Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes' favorite receiver. He suffered a shoulder injury that's going to keep him out for some time. So the man you want to be keeping up with is Sammy Watkins. This game, Mahomes had him looking like he was back at Clemson. He had, well over 3 touchdowns and a bunch of yards. And so Kansas City loses their best receiver and they still look pretty dangerous. So the NFL, you better be scared. Now for America's Game of the Week. In my Game of the Week, we had the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Football Giants. With Zeke finally ending his holdout last week and getting his 6-year contract extension, the Cowboys look forward to this year and hopefully get farther and deeper into the playoffs than they have. Jason Garrett's on a 1-year prove-it contract, and Kellen Moore is a first-year offensive coordinator. How did things look for this game? Everything looked pretty good. Granted, it's a small sample size, and it is against the lowly Giants, who are trading away anybody who can play football that isn't named Saquon. But for the Cowboys, the defense looked good, the offense looked great, and Dak actually looked like a quarterback who may be worth the price tag he's asking for. After a full off season of working with Amari Cooper, their connection looks pretty strong, and his connection with Michael Gallup has looked even better. Michael Gallup seems to have developed his route tree a little bit, and him and Dak are actually connecting on those deep passes that they missed a lot last season. And in the slot receiving, we got Randall Cobb now, who looks like a pretty good upgrade over Cole Beasley, who went to the Bills, and all the best to him. I see the Cowboys being also very dangerous in NFC East, and I see it coming down between them or the Eagles. And now, for the Sunday night primetime game, we had the Patriots versus the Steelers. Few things in life are always certain: death, taxes, and the Steelers getting absolutely pwned in Foxborough. At least this game was only week 1 and not the usual playoff game. Steelers fans had high hopes for the season, with outside distractions no longer being a part of the team in AB or Le'Veon Bell, but those hopes were quickly stomped out by Tom Brady. With the Patriots offense clicking on all cylinders and Edelman, Gordon, Philip Dorsett, and the running game looking good, I shudder to think what the offense will look like once AB's brought into the fold, but I'll keep my hopes up unless he doesn't make it to the field. I'm pretty sure the Patriots are going to dominate the AFC East. They always do. We start off the Monday night doubleheader with the Texans taking on the Saints. Saints fans are still reeling from that no call against the Rams, but it's a new season, time to move on. This game had it all. It had dramatic tension, many late game lead changes, and false finishes. It also had a duel between the game's top 2 receivers, in Michael Thomas for the Saints and DeAndre Hopkins for the Texans. Deshaun Watson looks like he's making some great strides in becoming a franchise quarterback. He is throwing it down the field aggressively. Granted, whoever Eli Apple was covering, that too was open, but he's still making great reads. Hopefully he stays healthy this year, and he's running out of bounds and sliding. Drew Brees looked as sharp as ever. He looked surgical. He looked pretty comfortable in that pocket sometimes. Too bad the Texans traded away one of their best pass rushers, and he's in Seattle right now. And this game went down straight to the wire. At the end, last-second touchdown score by Deshaun Watson. I feel like they had that game pretty won, but then you left too much time on the clock for Drew Brees, and if you do that, you already made a mistake. So the Saints pulled out on this one late. Lastly, for this evening in Week 1 of NFL football, we have the Oakland Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. With the AB Barnum Circus now officially leaving Oakland and having its next show in Foxborough, the Raiders are looking forward to the future. A lot of people have things to prove in this game. Gruden has to prove he won't be rebuilding till year 8 of his contract. The defense of Oakland needs to prove it can get this thing called a sack without Khalil Mack. And the offense is out to prove it didn't need AB to be dangerous in the first place. And on the Broncos side, Joe Flacco wants to prove he is still elite. While watching the game, I liked what I saw. Oakland looked pretty good. Their first-round running back and Josh Jacobs looked like a really good pick. He was running through tackles, around tackles, and he had 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr looked sharp this game, and so did their newly signed receiver, Tyrell Williams. Not that many people know about him because people were too busy talking about AB, but he stepped up to the number 1 receiver spot, looked like he didn't skip a beat. They also added an offensive weapon in Darren Waller, their new tight end, who replaces Jared Cook. He looked dangerous, moving up and down the field, catching balls. So I'm excited to see what Oakland has to offer this year, but they're probably going to be finishing either third or last in that division behind the Chargers and the Chiefs. They're too strong. Overall, this was a fun week to watch football. And that's it for this week. Give me some suggestions on tips on how I can improve. And leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know the usual YouTube spiel. And I will be seeing you guys next week. I'm signing out right now.